Live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
What better way to start the weekend celebration of mothers than with a mother kudu? This is Safari Live.
Confirm you're going live.
No way! The big male baboon's chasing her. Remember, you are watching this live.
What did you see? We gotta be quite careful with these guys.
Unfortunately, I think this is the end.
You have your fire!
Look at the nose!
There's a herd of zebra.
This is the most epic thing in the world, ever.
Good afternoon and welcome to the first of two very special Mother's Day weekend safaris coming to you live from the autumnal landscapes of southern Africa and the great plains of the Masai Mara in East Africa. Down south, the afternoon has brought with it leaden skies, the blessing of African rain, and a chilly 62 degrees Fahrenheit. My name is James Hendry and I'm going to be talking to you with my friends here from the tent. But of course, the vagaries of my existence and the lack of chattiness exhibited by my friends, not nearly as important as you. You are the most important part of what we do, and we would therefore like to chat to you. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter is how you get hold of us. I would like you to begin immediately tweeting away in just one word what it is that you would like to see on your next two live safaris. While you do that, let us take a look at where on the magnificent planet we call home we are. Zooming into the south of Africa there, the northeast corner of the world's most compelling country, South Africa, and there, nestled in the greater Kruger National Park, 8.5 million acres of wilderness wonderland. Now, you have just met the beefy figure of Tristan with a spiral-horned antelope. The elegant antelope that is Jamie Patterson is scouring the landscape for leopards and elephants. Brent Leo Smith, irascible and highly excitable, is all the way north 2,500 miles from here in the plains of the Masai Mara. But now, I'm going to hand you across to the Uberman, the utterly fearless Stefan with a slightly slithery thing.
Hello and welcome! Yes, it's the Mother's Day weekend special that we've got all for you. My name is Stefan. We are on foot here in the Kruger National Park and Djuma Private Game Reserve, bringing you some exciting things on foot. And one of the very first things that we got to show you is one of Africa's most deadly animals. Yes, that's right. Right here is one of Africa's most deadly. Is it a lion? No. Is it an elephant? No, even though I'm quite scared of them. It is a puff adder. I want to show you this. I'm just busy picking myself a stick because obviously I don't really want to touch this snake. But have a look over here. This thing hissed at us from underneath the bush while we were waiting to say hello to you. Come and have a look here. I'm just going to lift open this grass. Look at that. Now for those of you who live in the United States, this puff adder is very similar to a rattlesnake, and is Africa's version of a rattlesnake and responsible for many thousands of deaths across the continent every single year. Have a look. Here we go. That body is as thick as my wrist. Here's the head on this side. You can come and have a look here. Here's the head on this side. Why I'm not getting close is this snake can strike almost its entire body length and bury fangs that are over an inch long. Now, the type of poison that they've got, or the type of venom that they got, is cytotoxic, which means that it can break down the cells, causing massive infection, necrosis, and even death. Now let me just get this grass out of the way for you. Here's its head here. Now, as you'll notice, I'm not going to pick this snake up. It's our policy out here not to pick up these animals or disturb them in any way. We're just exposing this particular snake so that we can show it to you. And just look at that. How camouflaged is that, eh? Now what we're going to try and do is just leave the snake in peace. We're not going to be bothering it for too much longer. It's nocturnal, probably just got a little bit cold, and that's why it was lying in the open and hissed at us when we walked past. We're going to cover it up and carry on with our adventure today. A lot of things for us to do here today. We're going to look for a big male leopard that lives in this area, and there's a dam in this area over here that's got some hippo in it, so hopefully I can show you some hippo on foot. In the meantime, we're going to be sending you north over 2,500 miles to Brent Leo Smith in the Mara, who's got some giraffe for you.
Welcome to one of the greatest wildlife locations in the world. Remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. Today, for this Mother's Day weekend spectacular, we are bringing you two of the most iconic African destinations live. South Africa, the Greater Kruger National Park, and Kenya, the Masai Mara. Now, unlike my wonderful friends at Djuma, I'm lovely and toasty and warm here in Kenya. I know they're freezing in an overcast weather, but my name is Brent Leo Smith, and I have got VM on camera, and we've got just one of the most spectacular scenes here. We are sitting in an area called Topi Plain, and there are giraffe and topi spread out amongst this beautiful setting. Now, the Masai Mara is named after a Masai word. Mara means dotted or mottled, just like all those trees dotted across. Now look at that, there's some topi, and you can see the trees that dot the plain here, and often there are lions and whatnot hiding under there, so we're definitely going to be on the search for them. And we've got our first question. Isn't that so exciting? And it's from Jason in Atlanta, and he would like to know, how many species of giraffe do we get here? Well, in the Masai Mara we have the Masai giraffe, but back at Djuma we've got the southern giraffe. So hopefully you'll be able to see two different species that live a little bit far apart from each other. It's just a quick 2,500-mile drive back down to Djuma, but it is very exciting. We do not know what's going to happen. We are live in the African bush, and of course it's a Mother's Day spectacular. Now, giraffes are actually some of the better mothers, although that's a boy. Oh, there's a little baby one off to the right, and they're hanging around just away from the adults, and that is one of a mother giraffe's strategies to keep her little ones safe. And because, of course, giraffes are so tall, lions and hyenas and other predators can spot them from a great distance, so they will often stand away from the youngsters because they're not as tall and not as easy to see. But there we go, there's two sub-adult giraffes there, and there's a nice topi in between the giraffe, looking. Oh, a nice male topi. Now, he's obviously been pushed out of the breeding group, and we'll find a lot of these individual males all over the place, and they're all trying to compete for the herds where all the ladies live, and there's a nice herd of ladies. There we go, they're the lady topis. Now, we're going to go on and see what else we can find in this absolutely exquisite wilderness wonderland. And while we do that, it sounds like my good friend Tristan, who's probably got his teeth chattering away in the cold and windy Djuma, has found some footprints, and hopefully they lead us to something exciting. Well, Brent, we're chattering away, but it is still so exciting to be out in the wilds of South Africa. And as you can see there, we have some fresh dung and fresh footprints for a herd of elephants. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Dave, and a special warm welcome to all of you to this Mother's Day weekend special. It really is going to be so amazing to share the wilds of South Africa and Kenya with all of you. Now, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and follow these tracks. These tracks are quite fresh. We have had a bit of rain today. There's been quite a bit of sort of falling of water, and these tracks all seem to be on top of the rain. There's no sign of any raindrops on top, and that dung there you can see is still quite wet, so it's really going to be exciting for us to try and see if we can find these elephants. In weather like this, it's not very, very hot, so the elephants will be moving out in the open and should be moving quite slowly as they feed along, so hopefully we'll be able to catch up with them. And it is perfect weather for viewing elephants here in the Sabi Sands. When we get this low, grey, overcast weather and a bit of rain around, it really does help with the elephants. The elephants in the hot summer sun, they
battle with staying nice and cool, and you'll find they go into thicker areas and shade, whereas now they don't have to worry about them. They can walk around and feed wherever they like. You can see here in front how they've disturbed the soil as they've dug up for roots and varying types of food items that they can get. They use their feet to dig up big parts of soil, and they will then rip up tubers and roots and feed off all of those. So I'm sure these elephants are not too far in front of us, and there is a waterhole just in front that they may have gone to go and drink. So I think we're going to go and check out that waterhole pretty quickly. But I'm very, very glad that it has stopped raining. We did have some rain throughout the day, and it seems like Mother Nature is blessing us and giving us a present of her own by holding off on the rain for a little bit, and hopefully we'll stay nice and dry for the next 2 hours as we roam around and try and show you all the wonders of South Africa. Now, it seems like these elephants are still slowly going on the road. Some of them look like they've gone off a little bit up towards where that waterhole is. So while we go and check out that waterhole and see if those elephants haven't got there, let's go across to James, who should be nice and warm like Brent in his tent.
I am very nice and warm in my tent. But that's not to say that I'm not putting in a huge effort for your Mother's Day special live safaris. Now, we've had some answers as to what you would like to see. White Lady Ewan, you want to see leopards? Well, hopefully we'll manage that. Aaron, you want to see lions up in the Mara? I think that's a distinct possibility. Ellie, you want to see an Aardwolf? You may be disappointed, I'm sorry about that. Jane, you want to see elephants. I suspect that very soon you're going to be quite satisfied. And many of you, of course, have asked for Karula. Karula is our great queen, the leopardess who featured so very strongly in our 8-week series of January and February, and she has gone missing. We'll tell you a little bit about that. In fact, hang on one second. I think we're actually going to show you that now. Let's have a quick look here, and we'll tell you about what has happened to Karula. She and her 2 cubs, Hosana and Shongile, now 15 months old, are the royal family of Djuma. Now, we've watched the cubs since the day they were born, and the queen for almost a decade. But nothing in the African wild stays the same forever. About 8 weeks ago, Karula, our beloved queen, disappeared. We have no idea what has happened to her. The 2 cubs faced an uncertain future in the absence of the royal leopardess who had fed, nurtured, and protected them since birth. Shongile became terribly thin, but since she pulled this lizard from its watery home, she's picked up weight and killed regularly. Hosana, well, he seemed to fare slightly better initially. His belly was seldom empty, and he's killed at least 1 adult impala. That said, he clearly has an enormous amount to learn still. So we have spent some time with the 2 cubs. It's been a real joy spending time with them, but we are very worried about their mother. And of course, at this stage, we fear the worst. Perhaps tomorrow's Mother's Day, of course, she might pitch up. Now, we are going to satisfy one of our viewers with Tristan.
We are indeed, and look, we've managed to find these elephants at this waterhole. We've got 2 young bulls that have just stayed behind. The rest of the herd seems to have moved off, and these 2 are up to no good. They are busy playing as though they are naughty children in a swimming pool for the first time. They are wading around, they're pushing each other, they're spraying water at one another, they're drinking. Listen to that, isn't that amazing? And so, like I said, in weather like this, elephants often get quite active because there's not that hot sun that is raining down on them. This is absolutely incredible. Elephants have got to be one of my favorite animals, and to see them like this is just so special. Now you can see this is typical of young bulls. They will fight like this and play and push each other around, especially when they're in water. And this is all just practice for later when they become these big dominant males that will then go after females, and they'll then use these techniques from playing to be able to compete with one another. And you can actually hear how heavy these elephants are. They're causing waves to lap up on the shore of this waterhole. So Janice in Texas, I hope it's a lot warmer than it is here, Janice. You're wondering how often elephants will swim. Well, Janice, it depends, but generally, elephants will make their way to water at least twice a day. They are very, very big animals, and they require over 100 liters of water a day as a big elephant. And so what they need to do is they come and drink, and when they come and drink, then it is perfect time for the games to begin and for them to play around in the water. So sometimes they'll swim more than 2-3 times a day if it's very, very, very hot, but otherwise they spend a lot of their time like this on the edges and just drinking. But today we are being so spoilt. It's not every day you'll find these two elephants in the water pushing each other around and playing. So really, really special sighting. Now you can see how the elephant is just lifting its head and showing its ears. It's trying to intimidate the other male. So as they are up and they kind of show themselves as being really big, that makes the other male a little bit more intimidated, and he'll then back down. But isn't this incredible? Absolutely amazing. You can see this elephant is having the best time. So Alyssa, you're wondering whether elephants have to worry about crocodiles in a waterhole like this. Now, please excuse the bar that we do have. That's because it has been raining, so we're just trying to keep everything nice and dry. So with the crocodiles, the elephant is far too big for a crocodile to pose a severe threat. But I have seen a few times when crocodiles have gone after elephants, and they have tried to latch onto an elephant's trunk, but it's not very successful. Elephants are such big, powerful animals that they'll often then just shake that crocodile off, and you'll find the whole herd will come raining down towards that individual that's got this crocodile attached, and they'll all try and fight and push that crocodile away. So it is a really big risk for a crocodile to try and go after an elephant, and so it's very, very seldom that that happens. Now it looks like this bull might come past us and come and investigate what we are. Sometimes these young bulls are very, very, very curious, and they'll come along and they'll come and see what's going on, and especially when they're in a boisterous mood like this, they tend to be a little bit naughty, and they can come and try and intimidate us a little bit. But as long as we stand our ground, because he's quite young, he'll then back away and everything will be fine. But isn't he beautiful? Now this bull is probably at this stage, I would say, around sort of 20 to 25 years old. He's just coming into his prime years where he'll be able to start mating. He's not a very, very big bull yet. They continue to grow throughout their life, and you'll find that by the time they reach sort of 50, that's when they are the really massive bulls that we see in this part of the world. Now, while we sit with our Ellies and see what else they get to and whether these two bulls will catch up with the rest of the herd, let's go across to Brent, who's got another animal that likes to spend time in herds.
Well, from rain jackets at Djuma to sunscreen in the Mara. And we're with one of the animals that's fast becoming one of my favorite creatures, the Thompson's gazelle. Look at that one kicking his leg. He's been sleeping so long, he's got pins and needles, and he's trying to get the blood flow going. Yes, you funny looking. I think they've just got the most expressive faces. This is the little bachelor group. And we might be lucky over this Mother's Day Spectacular to find a few baby Thompsons. They are going to give birth in the next week or so, and it could even happen today or tomorrow. So we will be definitely keeping a sharp lookout on that. Well, here we go. Isn't that wonderful? Now, that is our second species of antelope today already. And Janet is wondering how many different species of antelope do we get out here? Oh, Janet, we've got Dik-Diks, Thompson's gazelle, Grant's gazelle, Topi, Eland. What else am I forgetting? Yeah, it must be more. Bushbuck. And then of course wildebeest, but they're not here yet. They're on their way from the Serengeti. They should be arriving quite soon, and that's going to be a very exciting time because we are still going to be here for a whole season, a series following the wildebeest migration. This is just truly one of the most spectacular spots in the world. Now, you might have noticed a vehicle driving in the background a little bit earlier, and you might see vehicles going across, and of course there are other people enjoying the magnificence of the Mara. Remember, this is 100% live, and if you want to ask questions like Janet, #SafariLive is the best way to get hold of us. Now, you've met Tristan, you've met Steph, you've met James, you've met me, but you haven't yet met Jamie, so let's go say hello.
Hello and welcome to this very special Mother's Day weekend special here live from the African wilderness and here in a very cool and cloudy South Africa. Now my name is Jamie and this morning Craig is on camera with me and we're searching for one of our favorite creatures, the elusive spotted leopards. I've seen 2 different cubs over the last 2 days and I'm hoping that in this rainy weather, because it's not too hot, they're going to be settled around somewhere and perhaps even walking about looking for something to eat. But because it's all about the journey out here on safari, who knows what we might find in between. It's just a matter of going out and searching. Don't forget to send through your question on #SafariLive on Twitter. And speaking of questions, I think that James has a question for you.
I do have a question for you. That didn't mean to rhyme, but it did. And my question takes us from the sublime of the elephants right down to the ridiculous. Now, I want you to tell me what you think this is. #SafariLive. It is under the microscope, and I want you to guess what you think it is. I will tell you that I don't think any of you are going to know what it is. I will also tell you that despite its very, very fearsome looks, it's not actually dangerous to human beings. When I put it on my finger and show it to you after you've had a guess at what it is, you will be so amazed that I have been so very brave. Isn't it astounding? And its full glory can only be appreciated when you're looking at the whole thing, which of course you will only be able to do once you have guessed what it is. And you do that, of course, by hashtagging Safari Live. Things to note about this are the eyes on the front of on the top of the head, and then the 2 pincers, which obviously you can see, the claws, those are important. Then you can see some very fine hairs there on the pedipalps, and those are called chelicerae, and those chelicerae are very important for helping this thing when it grabs its prey. Now those are all characteristics of animals that are similar to this, but not necessarily the same. Isn't that very frightening indeed, everybody? So he's in here. #SafariLive is how you're going to tell us what you think he is. I'm just going to listen to him. Ah, yes, he doesn't think you're going to know who on earth he is. Good. Well, we're going to go away for a very short break now. I don't want you to go anywhere. Jamie is about to get onto the tracks of a very beautiful leopardess. Tristan is still with the elephants. Brent is knocking about in the Mara, and maybe Steph will find another snake. Hello, everybody on the internet. We have been in our rehearsals now, of course, for the last 3 days or so, and it's been a very trying time, I must say. We've been working very hard at trying to get our links correct and speeding up the show and talking in a manner that is excited and excitable. And as you can see, Fergus is obviously having his first try in the tent because that camera is about to be inserted into my nasal passage, which will be very uncomfortable indeed. Good. Okay, well, we've got a number of exciting things to show you. I know that you are our loyal followers, but I'm still not going to give you a sneak peek of this. I do have to say, though, I think that the list of creatures that were sent through for that of desires of things to see, some of those names are very familiar, which was very nice, and especially those of you who've obviously watched before, those of you who have called for Karula. Wouldn't it be absolutely amazing if she pitched up on Mother's Day? Who knows where she is or what fate has befallen her, but I suppose we'll talk about that a little bit more over the course of today and indeed tomorrow. Also, wonderful to have a stable, beautiful feed coming out of East Africa there, where it is just gobsmacking. And, sometimes out here, which is also very beautiful here, I just find it amazing that it basically doesn't matter where you point the camera there. It's amazing. It's astonishing because there are just vistas every single place you look. And I was quite pleased there as Brent listed off the antelope. I didn't count them, but I don't think he got to 10. And 10, of course, is the number that we have out here. So I felt a feeling of, a sort of solidarity with the Lowveld here. Everything is new in the Mara and everyone's talking about the Mara, but the Lowveld is still a magnificent place for us to be. Would you like to have a look outside the tent? Let's just pop outside and have a quick look what's going on there. Here we are. Just take a deep breath. We've got 2.5 minutes before we go back to the television, everyone. What I wanted to show you was a bird that was calling. It was a woodpecker. And it was almost sort of calling in solidarity with what I was saying there. I was saying, the Lowveld, where we all cut our teeth, beautiful place. We all love it very much. And it went... So I think it was agreeing with me completely. Unfortunately, it has absconded. Good. Right. We can have a little look at this under the microscope if you'd like. This is, of course, WildEarthTV. Many of you know that. And tomorrow, I'm going to tell you that I will be looking for a thrip or two. That's not going to happen today, of course, because I know how much most of you are utterly in love with thrips. And so I thought I'd find one for the TV audience, if that's okay. Good. Right, we're going to hand you back over to Steph now. Tracking, finding snakes. Let's see what he's got for you.
We did find some snakes, and you know what we found else is we've got some hippo. Now, you'll know what we're talking about hippo in Buffelshoek Dam, because you've seen these hippo in Buffelshoek Dam. But I don't think anybody's been here on foot in a while. And on an overcast day, this time of the year, you don't quite know what you're going to get with hippo, to be quite honest. Obviously a bull hippo with a harem of females. And they've come to Buffelshoek Dam because the grass is still relatively good around the dam. How it is like that, I don't know. To be honest with you, this season has been so varied in its rainfall patterns on the back of that big drought that it's actually been quite difficult for me to decide how this grass is, what type of grass is here, why are these hippo here. I could only imagine that it's because there is water here, there haven't been a lot of hippo, and so it is an unused resource or an untapped resource, and that's why we have the hippo here. But what we are going to do is we are going to wait just until our TV audience joins us again. Once our TV audience joins us again, you're going to come with me and we're going to walk in there. So I'm just going to introduce it again. You're all used to that sort of thing, and then we'll walk in. Welcome back to the bushwalk. We have finally arrived at a dam that we were aiming at in this area, and right now I can hear hippo breathing in and out. Hippo, just like that puff adder that you were with, are one of the most dangerous animals in the whole of Africa. Hippo kill more people every year than all of the big five put together. That's more than elephant, more than leopard. You can just hear them. Come with me. Be a bit quiet. Hippo can run at about 35 kilometers an hour, which is much faster than I can. You can hear the big bull. Come with me. Now I've aimed. I've aimed for an embankment, so we should be pretty safe. There you go. Look there. Big hippo. Just gone under the water. Another one. Whoa, what's going on? It's just hippo everywhere. Now that display that they're doing is just to let me know that they're here. They're quite safe in the water. I'm not going to go and swim in the water. There's that hippo there. I can see 3 hippo. Look at that. A massive animal. You're looking at the hippo in this area here, weighing more than 2 tons. And they live in these pods. It's that noise. It's just them making those noises. Let's see if we can get you a little bit closer. Listen to that noise. Wow, isn't that amazing? Alright, get my nerves down again. We're going to send you over to Tristan, who's still got some elephant.
We do indeed. So this young bull, as we thought, would lead us to the rest of the herd. And there you can see they're all starting to come out now. There are elephants all around us. It is the most magical experience to be inside a herd of elephants like this. Really is so special. And you can see, listen to that. Isn't that amazing? So that is the sound that elephants will make when they're communicating with one another. It's absolutely incredible. And you can see he's just rubbing his foot at the moment. He's got a little itchy foot, and so the one foot is busy rubbing away. Oh, it's stopped now. But look at how amazing their trunk is. You see that? You see how he's busy feeding, and he's actually holding his food and then putting it in and using it when he needs to. So Thomas, who's age 4, hello Thomas, I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and I hope you're going to wish your mother a very happy Mother's Day tomorrow. You're wondering, how much do an elephant weigh when they're born and when they are an adult? Well, a baby elephant will weigh between 200 and 300 pounds as a baby, but when it gets a little bit older, if it's a female, it will normally weigh about 8,000 pounds, and as a male it can weigh as much as 12,000 to 14,000 pounds. So they are very, very, very big and very, very heavy. So the rest of them have still got a lot of growing to do. Now you can see there is an elephant there that's resting up against the tree, and she's pregnant, so that's a mother-to-be. So happy Mommy's Day. Oh, there's another one pushing a tree down. It's all happening, and that's very typical behavior of an elephant. Isn't that amazing how strong they are? That's absolutely incredible. You can see the reason why he's doing it is to be able to get hold of those leaves, or she, should I say, that's not a boy, that's a girl, is to be able to get to those leaves at the top that the other animals can't get to. So elephants are very, very clever in that they can push trees and use their body and their strength to be able to get to the food that others can't. Now that elephant is actually quite special, because if she turns to the right a little bit, you'll see that she's only got half an ear. So at the top there you see that there's a little bit of a bend. Now that's very unusual for an elephant, and I'm not sure what would have happened to her. It could have been from a snare. Now a snare is a wire trap that is sometimes set in the rural areas, and sometimes these elephants pass through and they get an injury like that. Now we're going to stay with our elephants and see what they get up to, because this is just so amazing. And while we do that, Jamie's got a bird that is flying high in the sky.
She's decided to take a break from flying high in the sky, and isn't this a gorgeous close-up view of one of the most beautiful raptor species that we see out here, a female batalier. Now, as you can see, we've had to do a bit of shuffling around because we do have a roof on, thanks to all of the rain that we've had. We're very excited that it's raining, but it does make filming ever so slightly more difficult. So if you see a pole in shot or something like that, it's just because, well, it's been raining. But let's have another look at this gorgeous batalier, because perfectly for Mother's Day, it is in fact a female. And a batalier is one of those birds that it's very easy to tell the difference between the male and the female. The female has got a strip of white along the edge of her primary wing feathers. So that strip of white right there, that you will not see on the feathers of the male. Isn't she striking? Look at the beautiful red around her beak. Don't forget, because this is completely 100% live, send through your questions using the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. We're coming into batalier breeding season in the next few months, and somewhere around here will be her mate, because batalier mate for life, there she goes, soaring off into the distance. Stunning. You see, the search for different animals is all about the journey. Right, well, let's go from one bird of prey to one poor bird that hasn't been as lucky.
There's a bird over there, everybody. Come over here, Fergus. It's a beautiful yellow-billed hornbill, and while Fergus finds it for you, we'll just quickly go through the name or the list of things that you thought that bizarre creature was. Abershine, you thought it was a crab. Nay, it is not. Nini, you thought a scorpion. Not too far off. Ellie, a tick, also not too far off. Or an antlion, negative. Maggie, Tumulty, you thought a beetle. And Megan, you thought a spider. Well, 3 of you were in the right class of invertebrates. It is indeed an arachnid, and if you come in here, I'll show it to you. Where is it now? Here it is. Let me put it on my finger for you, because when you see it, you will be so amazed. Come on, little thing. Look at this. It is something called a whip scorpion. And doesn't it look horrendous. If you found that in your bed, I don't think you'd ever sleep in it again. And it's called a whip scorpion because of those whippy legs that it's got. It's got 8 legs. It is an arachnid. So those of you who said tick, Ellie or Nini, you said scorpion, and, well, Megan, you said a spider. Definitely all an arachnid. And it is a gorgeous creature, and I'm going to release it now back into the wilderness so that it too, like Steph, might be free in the wild.
It's amazing how something that can look as terrifying as that whip scorpion is completely harmless, and how something that looks like this is completely deadly. We're still with those hippo at the moment. There's actually 4 of them here. That you're looking at there is the bull hippo. Isn't it just absolutely incredible? And then there's about 3 females. Now, Kate, you wanted to know how do hippos kill people. Kate, usually it's by biting and then the people drown. So can you believe it? That in Africa, because almost all the water bodies have crocodiles in it, people don't learn how to swim. Hippos are aggressive. People like to fish on rivers. It's a very easy way of getting protein out here in Africa. As the boat comes along the river, the hippo bumps the boat or bites the boat. People fall into the river and usually drown. I know it's quite a sad thing, but that's how people are normally killed by hippo. Secondly, hippo eat the crops that people plant on the very fertile banks of rivers, and people obviously don't have enough food to share with their families and hippo, and so people-animal conflict is also a part of what happens, and hippo smash people quite often in fields. It's one of the things that we watch out for here quite a lot. Hippo on foot, very, very dangerous animals. In the water, that's their element. They feel quite at ease. They are comfortable that we're not going to come into the water, and I'm not going to swim in this water. Those are the 2 young females. Very, very awesome. Now, we're not going to spend much more time with these animals. We don't want to pressurize them, make them feel at all like we are threatening them. So we are going to move off from now. And I'm very, very happy that I got to share this with you on this special weekend. Anyway, we're going to be sending you over to Tristan, who's got some elephant still.
We do indeed, Steph, and I hope you've had a wonderful sighting of those hippos. They really are such incredible animals, and this is so amazing to be that close that we can see into the eyes of an elephant is the most special experience in the world. Now, I would love to hear from you, because this is an interactive safari, as to what you would feel if you had to look into the eyes of an elephant at 10 meters away. So you can use a 1 word to describe it on Twitter and hashtag Safari Live and send through your 1 word. For me, it is sheer and utter amazement. So that would be my 1 word tweet. Isn't this incredible? Now we've got a little baby that's coming as well. A tiny little one. Look at that. Hello, little one. Isn't this magical? These elephants are now probably no more than 4 meters from where we are, or about 10 feet. And they are coming slowly around us. And you can see, look at how she's using her feet just to manipulate the branch to be able to then pull off that red bark. So you see the red bark there? That is what she wants to feed off. Isn't this just so amazing? This is absolutely incredible. Now I'm whispering because the Ellies are so close. So Laura, you're wondering if elephants do have any predators. Well, yes they do. When they're very little, like the size of this little baby elephant on the right hand side here, then they do. They'll have lions and hyenas and possibly even crocodiles. But unfortunately for elephants, the number 1 threat to elephants is man. They are being poached at quite a rapid rate, and so people, unfortunately, are their biggest predator. But little baby elephants like that have to be wary of lions and hyenas and even leopards sometimes. I have seen a leopard kill a baby elephant. It's very, very unusual, but it can happen. Now this little baby, oh, she's having a little bum rub. Are you itchy, my girl? There we go, you can see, look, she's scratching her bum on the tree. So elephants will do this quite a lot. They like to keep their skin in good condition, and so they will use trees to basically exfoliate. And so they rub, and where the mud is collected on their skin, it becomes abrasive, and as they rub, it rubs all the dead skin cells and parasites off. So, Nina, you say your one word would be awe, and I can't agree more. You are in awe when you're sitting with these elephants. Now, it sounds like the one elephant has started to swim again, and you can hear they're talking to one another. What are you doing, boy? Are you playing in the water again? It's our same naughty boy from earlier. He's decided it's not the end of bath time. He wants to go back for another round. Isn't this amazing? Look, he's gone completely under the water. Isn't that incredible? Now watch, we might see the trunk just come up like a snorkel. Oh, he's decided to come the whole way up. This is absolutely insane. We've got another female that is right at the front of the vehicle as well. She's just come to investigate us. Look, you can see how close she is. Isn't that amazing? Hello, my girl. This is so special. We are being absolutely spoiled by these elephants. Now, I'm trying not to move too much because I don't want them to get a fright. They've been very trusting in us and have come very close. And as long as we don't make too much noise, we won't have any problems whatsoever. Hello, little one. What are you doing? This is absolutely amazing. Now you can see how it follows mom. Wherever mom goes, it will follow to make sure that it stays nice and safe. We were talking just now about the hyenas and varying other predators that they may have, but they know if they stay close to mom's side that they don't have to worry because mom will be able to protect them from any threat that may come. Now, I want to try and move just now, but unfortunately we are absolutely surrounded by elephants. We have this bull that's swimming, we have the mom and baby to our left, another mom and baby on our right hand side, so it is just elephants everywhere, and it is such a spectacular way to spend your afternoon. Now, we were talking about the predators of this baby, and I believe Brent, who is 2,500 miles away, has found one of their biggest predators in life.
You're live. Welcome back, and we've just managed to find a mating pair of lions. There we go. And at the moment, they're having a little break. And the male's quite aggressive, and that's why we're staying a little bit further away from him. It's due to the fact that he's had a little bit of an altercation with 6 young males yesterday. So we found this exact female mating with a young male lion, and he was probably about 4 years old, which is quite unusual. And we noticed that he had 5 of his buddies just down the road. Now they're still very close to here, so we think what happened last night is that while the young male was mating with the female, the big boss of the area came back into the area, and he's chased those young males off. And it's going to be quite interesting because they're not very far and they're quite hungry, and if they hunt now, they might cause enough ruckus fighting over the meat to force this big male to leave his lady friend and charge in to send those young whippersnappers off and disappearing. So there's a lot that could happen here. This is really exciting. Okay, now I think these guys are not going to do too much. It's still quite hot, and while we're going to go and see what those 6 male lions that are about 800 meters that way are up to, and while we do that, James is going to teach you a little bit about this vast wilderness expanse that we're in called the Masai Mara.
Lions, elephants, and landscapes. What a day we're having here. And I have to give you my one word for elephants, and it's a very twee one, but it just makes me feel like that all the time, and that is wise. I really think elephants are very wise. Now, just over there, in amongst the bushes, is a group of antelope that you will not see in the Masai Mara. They are called Nyala. And they are wandering around my beautiful bush office, and I think they've just gone invisible into the bush. And they're into the invisible bush, of course, because, well, there's just a huge amount more bush than there is up in East Africa. Now, you all probably, and if you haven't, you should, seen Out of Africa. That is the place where we are going to be doing an 8-week TV series from July the 9th on Nat.Geo Wild. And this is a taste of what you can hope to see then. The iconic Masai Mara is a boundless wilderness bursting with life and an inspirational beauty that has captivated the human soul for eons. The Mara story is one of epic proportions. 1,000 square miles of abundant African savanna filled with a breathtaking diversity of wildlife. Every year, more than 1 million animals stream onto the plains. Africa's Great Migration is the climax of the Mara story.
This is one of the greatest spectacles on planet Earth.
Safari Live's exploration of this breathtaking wilderness has just begun. We can't wait to take you on the journey with us as we meet new characters and discover the stories of this vast, wild spectacle.
The Mara is both a beautiful and a harsh place, but the same could be said of the Greater Kruger here in South Africa. And you are back live in the top northeastern corner of the southernmost country on the African continent. So you've seen a little bit about the Mara and the trials and tribulations that the animals face there. Life is just as tough for the creatures out here. And I've just come upon this male impala. I have mentioned that we're looking for leopards, and this time of year is when the leopards really truly target the male impala, and that's because it is impala breeding season or rutting season, and the males become so distracted by the hormones of the females that they fight with each other and clash horns on a regular basis. And something has happened to this impala. I can't quite tell what it is, but I think that it's actually got a very serious injury to its jaw, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a slight protrusion out the right side of its face, and I think that may be its tongue. Life is very tough out here for the various creatures, but it also brings us a great beauty. We're going to be taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. Go have a nice warm cup of coffee and see you just after this break. And for those of you watching on the internet, perhaps you can see, of course, this impala has just disappeared behind the branch. And I can't quite see exactly what's happened to it. Look there. Look around its mouth. I think that's its tongue sticking out. It's either its tongue or it's a growth. And the chances are, this time of year, it's an injury of some kind. Shame. It's clearly not a happy impala. There was a little bit more foam and saliva dribbling earlier. I can't work it out, but because it's the rutting season, I would say there's a very, very good chance that it has been injured in a fight. And we saw that impala get really seriously injured. Was it last year's rut, or was it the year before? I can't even remember now. And the impala that had that very serious eye injury, and we actually thought it was going to lose its eye. I'm not sure what's happened to this gentleman, but I hope that he recovers. Meantime, I'm trying not to be jealous of Tristan, but let's go and experience some magical elephants.
Well, Jamie, you have honestly been an absolute champion today, because Jamie knew about these elephants and she let me come and have a look at them for our TV debut. So it all goes to Jamie in the end, and we need to say thank you very much to her for allowing us to spend time with these magnificent creatures. So thank you very much, Jamie, and I'm sure you will be rewarded for your kindness fairly shortly. And it's nice just to slow down for a second. It's been a bit manic to start, and nice to just catch our breath again and have some of our regulars watching. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far and having a wonderful time as much as we are. This elephant bull is still just being an absolute boisterous little boy. He's loving this water. He's obviously a water baby. He seems to come in and he's been lying in there and he's been rolling around and just taking it very easy. Oh, hello, little blacksmith lapwing. You're joining the party too, Dave. Hello, little guy. It's actually utilizing the elephant swimming around to pick up little insects. As the insects are lapping up onto the shore with those waves, it's then grabbing them. You see how it's following along the shoreline, and where that water is washing up, so little food items are also washing up, and that little lapwing can then grab them. Oh, it seems like our bull has decided it's time to leave the water. I think he's decided enough of bathing for one afternoon, which is a pity because it was really just so amazing spending time with him rolling around in the water. But he's obviously seen that the herd is starting to move off now, and so he's going to catch up with them and go and be his boisterous self. He seems to be coming into that age where he wants to mate. He's trying to sniff a lot of the females, so I'd imagine he will eventually be mating. I think he's still a little bit small for that. We do get much larger males. And you see we've got a little explorer on top of the hill there. He's on a termite mound. Well done, little one. Must have been quite an effort to get up there. And he's definitely obviously enjoying the view from up there. I wonder if it's because it's so small, it likes to be the same size as the rest of them. Right, Dave, I think let's maybe try and reposition ourselves, because they are moving off slowly, so I think let's try and catch up with them before they go too far. No, don't come down your hill. Stay up there. It's being naughty now. One is leaving the water and the other one's leaving its termite mound, which was the two shots we had set up to come out of our ad break. So they're both being naughty. Hopefully the one will stay up there. Looks like he's having a bit of difficulty trying to negotiate the termite mound and coming down. And there we go. A little trot down the hill, and back to mom we go. What is very interesting about this herd is the number of pregnant females. There's 3 of them that are heavily pregnant. That one in particular, I would imagine, is probably within the next couple of weeks will be giving birth. So it's quite amazing to see how many pregnant females there are within this herd. Welcome back, everybody. As you can see, we're still with our beautiful elephant herd in not so sunny South Africa, in the northeastern corner in the Greater Kruger National Park. It has been an absolutely incredible sighting of these elephants. They've been all around us and have been playing quite a bit. Now, my name is Tristan, and this is an interactive experience, and we would love to hear from you and love to hear all your questions that you may have about elephants. So remember, you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, and we'll try and get to as many questions as possible. Now, our elephant herd is slowly starting to move away from us, and Dave's just said he spotted a baby, and so there we go. Look at the little one. It's trying to learn how to use the trunk. Isn't that amazing? So it's been watching mom, and it's been watching how she uses her trunk, and she's then using it and trying to learn how to use this trunk for herself. Now, Hannah, you're wondering, are elephant mothers very protective of their young? Well, yes, they can be. They can be very, very protective, and that's why earlier, when the elephant mom was very, very close to me and the baby was very close, I went into a whisper and I was trying to keep my voice down and not move too much, because if a mother feels like her baby is threatened, she will definitely try and protect that baby. And an elephant mother, when she is upset, is like a woman scorned. She's not going to be in any mood for anybody, and she'll easily be able to turn over this vehicle. So we have to pay a little bit of respect to the moms and make sure that we don't get too close to the little babies. So they are very, very protective. You can see our naughty male is just sauntering off. Well, as he does, I think we're going to try and see if we can't just get ahead of this herd one more time. And while we do that, I believe Steph is still the guru of the bushwalk and has got an insect to show all of you.
amazing seeing elephant behaving like whales. It's just incredible, isn't it? And just because we've got such an awesome Mother's Day theme, look what popped out of the grass here, a praying mantis. I know it looks like a stick, but that is a praying mantis. And why I say it's got a Mother's Day theme is that praying mantis females exhibit the most unusual behavior. When a male praying mantis wants to mate with the female, he has to do a little dance, get close to her, basically trying to entice her, show him that he's the strongest male in the area. She then allows him to mate with her, and then when they're finished, she basically bites his head off and kills him. And that's the way that they do business. Can you believe that? So power to the woman. That's what this weekend's all about. It's all power to you ladies and mommies out there. So just something nice to look at. But just have a look at how amazingly camouflaged this particular praying mantis is. There we go. You can see those quite enlarged forelegs curled up underneath the head. The head is the little triangular piece that you can see at the end of that stick-like projection. Covered in compound eyes. Pretty much got 360-degree vision. And can shoot out those forelegs and grab whatever prey comes within grasp and eat it. Quite nice. All right, now we're going to be sending you over to James, who's got a member of the Little Five to show you.
I do have a member of the Little Five, everybody, and, well, I just wanted to say there that I thought that the mantis and its attitude to its husband, not very good, but of course the reason for that is that the mantis plays absolutely no role in raising the youngster, so once it has donated its sperm, well, what other use does it have but to provide nutrients for Madame Mantis? Now, I do have a member of the Little Five. It is the same member of the Big Five that Brent had, but on a much smaller scale. And there it is. And it is called an antlion. There are its pincers, which are quite nasty. I'm just going to move it slightly onto a darker background. That's better. And there you can see its pincers. Now those pincers are hollow, and it grabs an ant's abdomen with those pincers and then sucks it dry. And the most amazing thing about it is that it has no bottom. That means that it is unable to relieve itself for a full year. It remains in this form for a year, after which it becomes something that looks like a very sort of graceful and floppy dragonfly or a lacewing. And then, only then, can it finally relieve itself. And my goodness, what a relief that must be. Now, what it's trying to do is dig and get away from me. So what I'm going to do is put it into some sand and allow you to watch it dig. And then we're going to release him into the wild. Don't dig yet, little man. There we are. Oh, let's see. You can see how beautifully camouflaged he is. Now, of course, when I practiced this, he did this beautifully. He performed perfectly on cue, and that's now what he's going to do. Come on, dig. See him starting to dig there? Eventually, he will create a cylindrical pit, and that cylindrical pit will be what the ants fall into. But this chap is just a little bit cold, so there he goes. Now he's digging. Oh, that's wonderful. Look at him go. Isn't that cool? Oh, that's great. And he's going to disappear and become completely invisible from the microscope, from our eyes, and most importantly, from all of the ants. Now, this predator of the sand is hidden in amongst the earth's soil. For the thing that Brent is going to show you now is the same kind of thing, but it remains hidden in the water.
Now this is another predator just like James had, which is an ambush predator, except from being under the sand, they lie in wait under the water, and you can see those large gnashes of a relatively big Nile crocodile. We're on the banks of the magnificent, the world famous Mara River, and we are sitting at a very, very important spot at the Mara River, and this is the main crossing point where in a few months hundreds of thousands of wildebeest will plunge. Most of them will make it, but a lot of them won't due to the crocodiles that are going to be waiting. Now this is going to be one of my favorite spots. Oh, VM spotted something. What have you spotted, VM? He's just showing you the rapids, and you can see that the wildebeest cross backwards and forwards here, and to get to the different grasses. But while the wildebeest aren't here, these crocodiles just lie in wait. They only really eat once a year. And a very cool little thing is happening there. And sorry, you might hear quite a lot of wind noise. The wind's picked up. Oh, look, that croc's moving. Oh, it's closed its mouth. Oh, opening it again. Now, the reason a crocodile opens its mouth like that is to cool down. So it's got lots of blood vessels on its tongue. And when they get hot lying in the sun, they'll open their mouths and let the cool breeze go over it. Now, just to the right of the second smaller crocodile, there's a very interesting bird. It is called a spur-wing lapwing. Now, spur-wing lapwing are a type of plover, and their claim to fame is they're probably the most brave lapwing of all lapwings in the whole world, because they will feed off pieces of rotting meat that get stuck inside a crocodile's mouth. Now, one must think, I don't know if I'm brave enough to feed out of a crocodile's mouth, but one snap and that's just a puff of feathers. But obviously there's a relationship that's developed between the crocodile and the spur-wing lapwing over a really long time that enables them to feed safely from inside a crocodile's mouth. And let's go back to that croc, because we've got a question coming in from Paul, and Paul's wondering, would that crocodile come onto land to attack you? Paul, it's highly unlikely, but it is possible, especially where we're sitting now. We're in a vehicle, we're quite safe, but if I was walking on the edge of the water and not paying attention, a crocodile is capable of lunging itself over 10 feet out of the water to grab prey. So I think that would be a very unsafe place to take a stroll, would be right on the edge of the Mara River. Now, we can see some hippos. They're not being the best. They're quite low in the water, probably trying to avoid the sun, right at the base of the rapids. You can just see the little nostrils popping out. Here we go. Okay, so there's a lot of rain around, and I think we've got a really good chance of possibly seeing a rainbow with lions. So we're going to start making our way back towards lions, but there's even a rainbow at Djuma without any sun. Let's go find out what kind of rainbow Steph's got.
There is a rainbow at Djuma, albeit not vaulted into the skies, but lost on this leaf. There you're having a look at a rainbow skink, one of the most colourful of all the beetles that do. Oh, excuse me, what am I saying? A rainbow skink. It's a it's a rainbow beetle. Have a look at that. A skink is a type of lizard. Just look there. Isn't that really, really awesome? Usually insects like this with lots of bright colors on are trying to send a message. In this particular case, it doesn't have black or yellow or red on it, which means that it's probably not a poisonous insect, but I still wouldn't want to put something with those bright colors onto or into my mouth. Really pretty though, isn't it? Oopsie. Rainbow shield bug, that's what it is. One of the beetles that we have over here. Now, come and have a look over here and see what we've got for you else. This is actually why we stopped in this area. Right here is an enormous spider, about as big as my hand. This is a garden orb, one of the more common of the big spiders or the large spiders that we have out here. Just have a look at this beauty. Now, unlike the hippo and the buffalo, the hippo and the puff adder that we were having a look at a little bit earlier, this one won't jump onto my face, bury its fangs into me and kill me. They are really, really harmless. So no harm with me spending time right next to this, next to this spider. I must be honest with you, I'm hearing noises coming through the bush over here, and it's giving me the heebie-jeebies. I'll tell you, walking around here in the bush, you've got to trust your senses, and I'm hearing noises. What we're going to do is send you over to Tristan and those elephants and see what we can find, what's making these big footfalls over here. All right, see you in a bit.
Well, we are still with our Ellies, and isn't it amazing how well they camouflage? Now, my name is Tristan, and this is coming to you live from the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa. It is a grey, overcast day and perfect weather for elephants. We've seen them playing, we've had lots of interaction with them, and they are slowly but surely coming towards us, so this should be absolutely spectacular. Now remember, because it is live and we are interactive, you can use the hashtag on Twitter, Safari Live, and you can send us any questions that you may have about these ever so beautiful, colossal animals. They really are the most spectacular things to spend time with. When you are in amongst a herd like this and they are surrounding you, it really is the most special feeling. It's one of those feelings that is very difficult to describe. You can see this female is just starting to come out, and this is a heavily pregnant female. So it's quite interesting in this herd. Generally, when you see a herd of elephants, you'll find that one female may be pregnant, but this herd, this is the third female now that I've seen pregnant, and she is very swollen. I wouldn't be surprised if she gives birth within the next few weeks. So, Larry, you're wondering how thick the elephant's skin is. Well, it depends where we're looking on the elephant. If we look around the ear area, the elephant's skin is very thin, and the reason for that is because that is how they control their temperature. But if we go onto the body area, onto where all the wrinkled skin is, that skin is quite thick and can be close to 2 inches thick in places. So it is very thick and very tough, and it has to be because it provides protection for these elephants as they walk through the thorny savannas of the African bush. You can see that little one got a little fright when its mom broke a branch and has decided it's going to go a different way altogether. I'm sorry, little one. It's your mom that scared you, not us. Isn't this amazing? Now, I was saying just now about their ears and the skin being very thin. You can see an elephant has a really large, big ear. And the reason that it has that is because it is very hot out here in Africa in the summer months. We can get temperatures that go up to 120 degrees Celsius. And for a big 4-ton animal, when its sun is blazing down in the middle of the day, it is very difficult to stay cool. They can't spend all their time in water. They need to also feed. And so those ears act almost like the radiator of a car. As they flap their ears, they're pulling wind over the back, which is covered with veins and a very thin layer of skin. And as that wind is pulling over those veins, it's cooling that blood down and sending that cooler blood into the body, and it is like a natural air conditioning system. Now you'll see today that their ears are not flapping, and that is because of how cool it is today. It's not nearly hot enough for them to worry about trying to aircon themselves. Hello, little one. Are you coming to say hello? You can see how it uses that trunk. Isn't it amazing how that trunk works? The trunk just fiddles around looking for individual pieces of food. You would think in an area like this there'd be so much food that they would just go after anything. But this one is being very selective. Now, Keith, you are 5 years old, and I'm so glad to have you watching, Keith. It's so important as a young kid to be able to be inspired by the natural world, and you're wondering how long does a baby elephant stay with its mom. Well, Keith, I'm just readjusting so that I can actually see where all the elephants are, because they're all around our car. But a baby elephant will stay with its mom, if it's a young male, until about 12 to 15 years old. As a female, it will stay with its mom for life. It will form a herd. And you can see a lot of these females that we have around us here are all going to be related. So a lot of these young females will be related to some of the bigger females, and they will be their older daughters, and they will then have little ones of their own. And maybe in times of extreme stress, when there's very bad drought and no water, then you'll sometimes see that the females will break apart. But otherwise, when we have conditions like this where we've got lots of grass and lots of trees, the females will all stay together. Now, I believe James is in the tent, and he's got a beautiful view from the eye in the sky.
Well, this isn't quite an eye in the sky, but I will explain to you what it is shortly. My name is James Hendry, and you are on a very live safari from the south of Africa, and of course to the east of Africa, the Great Plains of the Masai Mara and the iconic Kruger National Park out here in South Africa. Now we are going to take ourselves to the air. There we are. That is Drone Commander Connor Teague's contribution to the show so far, everybody, and it's the same antelope that I failed to show you a little bit earlier on. They are my very favourite antelope, the Nyala. And those are all female Nyalas. They have, yes, well, I see they've certainly chased off any males, any suitors for them. And now, somewhere else. And what's interesting about that, of course, is that the males look nothing like the females. They're a rich charcoal color with a white mantle on the back and beautiful sort of rusty red legs, which is the same color, of course, as the rusty red. There's a male there. You can see his horns on the left-hand side of your picture, and they are grazing there, or they're not grazing, they're browsing, they're eating on the trees, and of course there are not a huge number of trees there in the Masai Mara, and that's why you don't find a great deal of those over there. Now, we have quite a fun game for you to play. I've magicked myself out the tent. Here we are. Good, excellent. Here is the Nyala. Here is the Impala. Now, the game is called Where Am I? Now, you get Impala here, and you get them in the Mara. And I want to tell you, when we show you this clip now, where are these Impala? Are they in the Mara, or are they perhaps here in the Kruger? Hashtag Impala Mara or hashtag Impala Kruger is how you tell us which one they are. Hashtag Impala Mara, hashtag Impala Kruger. Good. So, Impala, where are they? Mara or the Kruger? We will see you after this little break. Okay. Good. I think it was all right. Hashtag Impala Mara, hashtag Impala Kruger. We are still with the internet. You know what happened to me last time I walked inside? Let me just tell you a story, everybody. It's a story of woe, I will tell you, and it was a story, and many of you will know that I have uttered the odd bad word while we've been live, when I've got a fright, etc. Well, if you come over here, we'll just show you a little behind-the-scenes scene over here. In that black box, of course, is a spider that I will show everybody tomorrow. That is the world's most venomous spider, or one of them, everybody. It is the black widow spider, and I released it yesterday into that box, thought I'd pulled out the vessel that I had it in, and the spider was still attached by some skin, or some silk, and she swung sort of towards this region of my body, and I said a really bad word, but luckily it was just a rehearsal. Phew. Let's head across to Jamie, who's at Chitwa Dam.
Phew! Well, it's a relief to be with all of you for the moment, as we sit at Chitwa Dam and count the brand new geese goslings. How many have we got, Craig? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Brand new little geese. 8? Oh, no, that was just another head. Did you count 8? Can I not count? That is entirely possible. And the sheer stress my brain is under. You're right, there are 8. I can't count. Well, it's good to know. Glad we did that counting now. Otherwise, that might have been very embarrassing. At least it's in front of our... Oh. What was that about? Shepherding all the little goslings. Oh my goodness, it's a harrier hawk. Look at that. It just went for the goslings. No wonder. No, it's not a harrier hawk. Looks like a juvenile fish eagle. That was crazy. Where did you come from? Wow, that was amazing. The parents are so alert. It's definitely a martial eagle. No, it's definitely a martial eagle. It is, this time, definitely a martial eagle. That was crazy. Now the lapwings are going crazy. I don't believe that. That happened so quickly, I didn't even see it coming in. It's amazing how well that light plumage actually works. Juvenile martial. Amazing. Didn't get anything, did it? Do we still have all 8 goslings? Fantastic parenting from Mum and Dad. You see how protective they got over their little ones. Well, that was a surprise. Here we go, there's the goslings. Thanks, Craig. All are alive and well. All right. And parents have done a wonderful job. One shepherding them away, probably Mum, and then to the left is Dad. Alright, we're going to disappear for 30 seconds. We'll be back very, very shortly. Back on your live safari on this very special Mother's Day weekend, where we've got a dramatic scene that has just played out right in front of us. You see two very unhappy geese, and for very good reason, because their family was just under attack from the largest eagle that we get out here, a martial eagle. And it's being dive-bombed by the various birds. What an exciting experience that was. I was so nervous for a second. I thought the Egyptian geese were about to lose their little ones. For those of you that have just joined, my name is Jamie, and you are on a live safari from both the Greater Kruger National Park area in South Africa and the Mara in Kenya. And it just goes to show, because these live safaris are always unexpected. I've been looking for leopards all morning. I did not expect to see one very unhappy goose family having to chase away a martial eagle. The responses of those parents are just incredible. Here comes the eagle again. Watch as it goes. Is it going to go for a gosling? No. It's being chased by all of the birds, chased by the parents, and they've managed to protect their brood. Oh, there's such a fragile age at the moment. What an amazing job the parents have done to chase the eagle away. Look, you can see there's Mum shepherding the 8 little goslings. Oh, you just saw that was the largest eagle species that we get out here in this particular part of South Africa. Fiona, yes, that is one of the eagle species that will indeed go for the antelope species, or the smaller antelope species. There it is over there. Martial eagles have been known to go for small impala lambs and things called steenbok, which is a tiny little antelope. But an Egyptian goose gosling would absolutely be on its menu. Now, this is a young martial eagle. It's not yet reached its full adult plumage. I just can't believe what an amazing job those Egyptian geese parents have done. It's hard work being out here in the wild and raising a brood, especially with so many predators about, and especially with such fragile little creatures. Those little goslings. And I think it's still watching them. There they are over there. They're just to the right of that dead tree now, Craig. There they are. And she's shepherding them, making lots of noise, frantically worried. And if that martial eagle launches an attack again, she'll fly up and try to defend them. But where can she go? She can't take them towards the water. Well, she's going to try, but being on the edge of the water, being in the water, there's no safe place for her. She's just got to rely on her mate to help to keep them safe. Amazing. Just goes to show, we've been speaking a lot about mothers. You've seen the protective mums of the elephant herd. Look at that. There's the eagle up on that dead tree, and there's the little goslings down below. This is astounding. My heart is in my throat. I can't help but be on the side of the geese. We shouldn't choose sides out here. We really shouldn't. But it's very hard not to sometimes, especially with such tiny little babies. Here comes the mate. Egyptian geese are monogamous and they raise their babies together. Well done, you two. You've kept them safe. Oh, there's the eagle up there. We have another question coming through. James Elizabeth, lovely to hear from you. You want to know if perhaps these poor little goslings might be under threat from a terrapin grabbing them from below. I guess it's possible. I've never seen it happen, but terrapins are carnivorous and they do have very, very strong jaws, and they will grab various aquatic creatures. I doubt it, though. I think it would be very, very unlikely that that would occur. But never say never out here. Stranger things have happened. Now, if you would like your question answered in much the same way, send it through on #SafariLive on Twitter. That eagle's still there and it's still watching them. Why did they bring them so close? Do they still see it? I'm going to sit here spellbound at this dramatic standoff between an eagle and the geese. But you haven't had your answers yet from James. Let's head across to him.
What a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. Now, as I give you the answers to where am I, I'm just going to walk out to you the 8 feet, the wingspan that eagle has. So as I tell you that Jackie, Sarah, Bobby and Lisa, you are the ones who have got answers. Jackie, Sarah and Bobby, you said that it was an impala in the Mara, and you were absolutely correct. And Lisa, I'm afraid you were not. It was in the Mara. Now, the way you tell that is by the width of the horns. Now, I'm only 4 feet into my walk here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the astounding length of the Martial Eagle's wingspan. And so when we look at the impala, we'll quickly have another look at the impala's skull, which I now seem to have lost. Here it is. It's over here. You'll find that the impala horns in the Mara are probably about that width, like that. So they are quite fantastic. My name is James Hendry. This is not James Hendry. This is my friend Ian the impala, and he is quite dead. Anyway, so much wider than this in the Mara. Now, let's just sort of give you a perspective as to where we are in the world compared with where Brent is in East Africa. There we go. You can see, as I said, northeast corner of the world's most compelling country, South Africa, and we're going north 2,500 miles to the, well, just off the, what am I saying here, the western fringes of Lake Victoria, and in between Lake Victoria and the Great African Rift Valley. Now, the Mara is about 1,510 square kilometers. That is a massive, massive area. Now, Tristan is still with those brilliant, brilliant elephants.
Okay. We are indeed. We have been absolutely spoilt by these elephants this afternoon. They have given us everything we could ask for. They have been star performers. And what is so interesting is that they have all come out into an area that is where a set of hyenas is denning. Well, not a set, should I say, where there is a hyena den. You can see there is a small little hole in the bottom left of the screen, so just over there is the hole, and that is an entrance for where little hyena cubs have been living. You can actually see where the soil has been disturbed, and now the elephants are feeding on that den. Is this not amazing? I was really hoping that the hyenas were going to be out and about, and with the elephants' arrival that we were going to see the two of them interacting, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that won't happen. You might find that the female hyena, who's the mother of these cubs, may hear the commotion and could come in at any stage to come and check on her little one. So we're going to sit a little bit and just see. But this is absolutely amazing. To see elephants actually feeding off the exact same den is really very, very unique and very special. It's the first time I've actually seen the elephants come right up onto this termite mound. And it's again our naughty bull from earlier who was swimming. So, Ruby in the sun, you're wondering if the matriarch is always the oldest female in the herd. Well, not necessarily, Ruby. Sometimes you'll find the females get to the age where they are really, really old and they're coming towards the end of their life and they can no longer really lead the herd effectively. And that's when you'll find that a female slightly younger than her, and normally one of her offspring, will then come in and take over as the matriarch. But she will lead the herd until she's probably in her late 40s, early 50s, so she has a very, very long period as a matriarchal female. And it is amazing how many of these elephants are starting to come out now around this den. I really, really hope these little hyenas poke their heads out and show us them, and show themselves, should I say, not them. James in the tent will shout at me for my bad English. I'm sorry, James. But this is such an incredible sighting. Now, while we sit and just see if our hyenas maybe come out, let's go back to Jamie, who's still got death raining from above.
Death from above is taking a little bit of a break, but what a dramatic scene, because I think that this juvenile martial eagle is still checking around the area to see if there are any birds that it could ambush, or indeed anything else actually. Potentially it is such a large and very strong bird that there are many creatures that could fall victims to its talons. There's the Egyptian goose family. There they are over there. All of the little ones all clustered together, none of them really wanting to be separate. And the parents are still calling, but the little goslings I don't think realize just how serious or how close they came to that terrifying experience. They're busy feeding, sifting through the algae on the top of the water. But the parents are still vigilant, even though the one on the left is still feeding. You can see Mum on the right making a lot of noise. She's constantly squawking, and she is still very, very unsettled. Now the question becomes, which one of these creatures, because it is Mother's Day weekend and we are talking a lot about mums, which one of these creatures do you think has a harder time raising their young? Do you think it would be the eagle, like that beautiful marshal over there? Or do you think it would be the Egyptian goose family? Which of them do you think would have the harder time as a mother? And you can send those through to #SafariLive on Twitter. Would it be the eagle or the geese? Which of them have a tougher job to do? Which of them face the greater hardships in terms of their parenting? All of this is being watched by the Chitwa pod of hippos at the Chitwa Dam. They seem to be completely unfazed by the entire experience. You've just seen a very close encounter with one of our apex avian predators. Let's go across to an apex animal predator.
Well, we have probably one of the most comfortable looking lionesses in the whole of Africa. It's the same two we were with earlier, but she has taken a very unladylike pose for this Mother's Day weekend. I suppose it is Mother's Day after all, and she's planning to be a mother-to-be with all the mating she's been doing over the last few days. So she can lift her legs and have a rest. And the male is hiding in the grass. But the really exciting thing is they have started to stretch a little bit, and that means there's a very good chance in the next little while that they're going to get moving. And there's a plethora of animals around. There's topi, gazelles, all spread out in the plain ahead of us here. Now remember, this is 100% live in Africa, and we're in one of the most amazing ecosystems in the world, the Masai Mara, and you never know what's going to happen at any second. Remember, #SafariLive if you want to ask us any questions. And speaking of questions, we've got a question coming in from Martin. Martin would like to know, how do lions find a mate? Now, Martin, that is an excellent question. Now, it's generally up to the females to initiate. So when a female comes into estrus, she will move away from her pride, and she will often vocalize and scent mark. Now, lions scent marks because they don't have as developed communication systems as we do. Oh, look at those nasty biting flies all over her. And so they don't have the same developed communications. Now, I know everyone at home, this might be a little bit strange, but I'm going to ask you to do something with me that could be a little bit funny. Okay. Now, if you feel on the top of your mouth, there's a little hole there. It's called the Jacobson's organ. Go like this. I know, at least I'm doing it to all of you. You can at least do it in the privacy of your own home. Now, that little organ is very important in lions. So when a male lion smells a female's urine, it passes off chemicals. And those chemicals say if she's an estrus, when she's coming, if she's got cubs, sort of how old she is. And that's obviously very important with lions. The rest of their vocal communication is more territorial. So for mating, that communication is incredibly important. And we are not going to move because I'm very confident that these lions are going to get up in the next little bit. But of course, this is the Mother's Day spectacular particular, and we have prepared something a little bit special for you, and I've got to send you back to James in his bush office. He's got something fantastic to show you.
This, everybody, while you think about whether the martial eagle or the Egyptian goose has a worse time being a mother, is one of the greatest mothers, in fact, joint parenting creatures out here. This used to be a hornbill. Now, we showed you the yellow-billed hornbill earlier. This was a red-billed variety. The keratin has come off the top, and they are tremendous parents. They look after their children together equally, but she sacrifices herself to the extent that she becomes completely naked while incubating the eggs. So she'll go into a tree hole, she will shed all of her feathers, lay the eggs, and there she will remain completely helpless and dependent on the male to feed her and the youngsters until her feathers grow back and she can fly out and then help raise the little ones. Isn't that amazing? So I think of any bird, the martial eagle and the Egyptian geese included, well, I don't think they've got anything on the hornbill. Now, there are many different kinds of mothers in nature, and here is a small selection of them.
Every creature in nature has been blessed with a mother.
Oh, the baby just kicked. Did you see that?
For most African mammals, motherhood begins by giving birth in dangerous terrain.
Look at that little zebra about to be born. There's the head. Oh, you clever mare, well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
The new infant is helpless without his mother's protection and guidance. She must encourage him with his first steps and nurture his path into a scary and exciting new world.
The first steps ever of this tiny baby impala. They are very wobbly.
The pressures of motherhood are innumerable.
That baby hippo is a matter of hours old. Look at him!
From constant clamouring for food to endless demands for piggyback rides. Feeding babies is time-consuming and nutritionally expensive. Growing bodies and minds have enormous appetites which mums must stoically satisfy with love. As soon as mum tries to grab some shut-eye, Junior wakes up for playtime, often using the only tools available, the same tools that will become weapons in adulthood. But nature's mothers demonstrate huge reserves of patience for their little ones, for this is what their mothers did for them.
And now you are back once again with the live vehicle here in South Africa. And as you can see, there are plenty of very special mothers out here in the African wilderness. Some big, some small, some feathered and some not. And the Egyptian geese parents are one such prime example of parents who look after their babies with everything that they have. And I'm so glad that these Egyptian geese have been successful, and I look forward to watching their little goslings slowly but surely grow up. And as they continue to feed, relieve their escape from the eagle, let's go and look at something that Steph has that's green.
I just cannot believe my ears at least, and hearing it, what you got to see there. What an exciting thing. But also another embrace of death is this one that you're looking at right now, although happening at a much slower rate. The twig with the leaves on, the large leaves that you're looking at the moment, is a fig tree, but it is also, we call them collectively out here strangler figs, because that's exactly what this particular fig is doing to this giant knobthorn tree. Believe it or not, that tiny little fig, it will eventually kill this big old knobthorn tree. And what's going to happen is the fig tree will send its roots down the tree and will eventually encircle the tree and will be drawing nutrients from the soil at the base of this tree. What will eventually happen is that the fig tree will draw so much nutrients and will be so big, blocking out so much light, that the tree won't be able to get enough sunlight to make the carbohydrates it needs or enough nutrients and water out of the soil, and will eventually die away, leaving this hollow-stemmed fig tree in its place. Isn't that just the most amazing thing? And obviously, the fig tree, being a climax species of plant, its seed grew at the top there from the dropping from a bird. So it didn't need to get through the canopy. And that is exactly one of the reasons why it's one of the most specialized trees out here. I just love that sort of thing, you know. Over the years, it's going to be nice to see what happens there. Now, you're going to be going away for a short break. Remember, we got lots more to come. We don't know what's around the corner. We are live. See you later. All right, now, for those of you who have been with me before at this tree, just once before I had a look at this tree, I thought that we'd come past, we were in the area, we'd come past and have a look and see how it fared this summer, because it was at the beginning of summer that we actually came and had a look. And I'm almost certain that there's a few more branches on this particular fig tree compared to when we last saw it. Unfortunately, I don't have access in my hollow head at the moment to an archive picture, but I'm sure one of you would have. I think I prompted everyone to take, well, whoever was keen on taking a picture, and feel free to just page through your archives and go and have a look and see if we can see, and let me know if this has got 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 more branches than it had a summer ago, basically, and we'll see how it weathers the storm over this winter. I'm almost sure that these roots are also a little bit more robust. This is where it's getting its food from at the moment. And just amazing, it's like being able to hold on to the arteries in a body. You know, of course I can't feel the pulse of life here, but it would be nice to imagine that you could feel the pulse of life going up the tree and into the fig tree. Very nice. Sad to say that this old man's days are numbered. Don't worry, old boy. It looks like he had a good innings to start with. Alrighty, now we're in this area mainly to be covered in ticks, which has happened again today. I don't know, they've come out and played in their droves again, and we actually heard some monkeys calling just over here when we were busy with that rainbow shield bug a little bit earlier. The noise that we were hearing in the bush was actually a group of buffalo, but they were a bit far in the bush. They were already thrashing their horns because they could hear me talking about the rainbow shield bug, and we decided to create distance and make haste out of there, which is what we did. So we're nowhere near where that rainbow shield bug was because we wanted to get away from the buffalo, but we are very close to where we heard those monkeys calling, and hopefully we get to know what caused that. Obviously this area here is very, very good for Hosana and Shongile, and hopefully maybe we can pop one of them out of the bush today. But nevertheless, we are off to see what the bush can bring us. Hello, there's a Birchall starling in the top of the tree, busy having an argument with someone. Come and have a look here. I quite enjoy the starlings. My interest in them waxes and wanes because they're just such a common bird, but in actual fact they're just so striking. There he goes, now you can see that iridescent blue color. What are you complaining about there? A precocious bird, very, very, and an insectivore, will walk around feeding on almost any insect that they can catch and kill, including scorpions and centipedes and a lot else. And with that bird disappearing off into the sunset and into the darkness, the ever-increasing darkness, when we send you to James in the tent.
Yes, we are, everybody, and as soon as television comes back, well, we're going to be playing a game. The last game of the day. Do you want a sneak peek of the game? I'm sure you do. There is the sneak peek of the game. That's all we can show them. Otherwise they will know what's going on, Fergus. You must be careful. And I'm going to point at it with this pointing stick of mine. I'll also tell you that there was quite a lot of impala alarm call going on over there, but the grass is so very long and it ain't going to get no shorter given the rain that we've just had. Now, those of you who are regular viewers will be interested to know, despite how both Jamie and I and Tristan and Taylor, that's more than both, isn't it? It's 4. have all been saying how, well, that's the end of the rainy season, not going to rain again, everything's going to get dry, and sort of trying to lead us towards the dry season. Well, we've been completely confounded by probably close on, 10 millimetres of rain or so, which is about just under half an inch. So we've had quite a lot of rain over the last little while, and we were terrified this morning. I'll let you in on another little secret. We had a rehearsal this morning in which I think the highlight was a silver cluster leaf tree. That's all we could find. The Mara was sort of around the place. They didn't find much. Over here we had absolutely nothing except rain, and so we were terrified when we started. But as Fergus said to me, the universe hath delivered again, thankfully, for this show.
Namaste.
Namaste. Yes, thank you, Fergus, you great guru. Fergus is a guru in his spare time, everybody, and you can find him at fergus.guru.com. That's not true. You can't really. Don't go there. All right, we're about to go back to TV. Welcome back, everybody, to your special Mother's Day weekend live safari. My name is James Hendry, and hashtag Safari Live is how you can get hold of us, and many of you have been doing that. We have got one more game to play today, but before we do that, I'm just going to quickly tell you about the game Face Off that Jamie did with you. And she asked you, of course, who has the more difficult time raising their youngsters, the martial eagle or the Egyptian goose? Well, it is almost certainly the Egyptian goose. There's a bushbuck over here. Right here. Look at this. Little bushbuck. You walking straight towards the tent. Hello. Isn't she gorgeous? She's just been listening to the game, you see. She's fascinated. And that is our little touch of the wilderness. This is what makes it so wonderfully special to be out here. It's that surprise that the wilderness will give you. Isn't that fantastic? Okay, now, the reason, of course, that the geese have a tougher time, or the reason they have more babies, is because they have a tougher time. Martial eagle only produces one. Now, here we go. Here's the last game. It's called Two Truths and One Lie. You'll have to excuse the drawing. I'm a hopeless drawer. What I'm going to do is give you three statements, one about scorpions, one about the African jacana, one about crocodiles. One of those statements is going to be a complete and foul and contemptible untruth, and you have to choose which one it is. And then you answer by writing hashtag Safari Live, answer 1, answer 2, or answer 3. So depending on which one you think is rubbish, hashtag Safari Live, answer 1, answer 2, and answer 3. So here we go. Are you ready? Statement number 1 says that scorpions are some of the most wonderful mothers in nature. They carry their little scorpionlets around on their backs for up to 20 days after they hatch. Statement number 2 is about the African jacana, or the lily trotter. The lily trotter, an exceptional mother, she is able to lay 3 clutches of eggs at a time and care for all those little babies. Statement number 3, the Nile crocodile is one of the only reptiles in all the world that shows parental care after her eggs have hatched. And if you had little babies that looked like that, how could you resist providing them with care? We'll give you the answers to Two Truths and One Lie a little bit later. So, if you think that I was talking rubbish about the scorpion, you write hashtag Safari Live answer 1. If you think I was talking rubbish about the lily trotter, you write hashtag answer 2. And if you think I was talking rubbish about the Nile crocodile, then you can write hashtag Safari Live answer number 3. Let's head straight across to the north and Brent Leo Smith.
Well, look at that. There is a magnificent little spatter of rain falling over these lush grasslands of the Masai Mara, and the lions have not moved yet, and I'm hoping as it gets cooler and the sun starts to dip that these lions are going to get on the move. Now, we're in the rainy season here, and of course these rains are what makes this area so productive. So unlike South Africa, the Mara gets 2 rainy seasons. Now, the lions are still snoozing away, but of course this is live, so we don't know if they might just suddenly wake up and get active again. And it's quite an interesting dynamic. Now, I think this big male might have found this female towards the end of her estrus cycle, because normally when they're mating, it's every 15 minutes. So he could have got a good smack. So the mating needs to be initiated by the females, otherwise the males quite often get a hiding. Oh, his head's up. He's heard something. And you might hear another vehicle behind us. Now, there are other cars that are obviously driving around this wonderful reserve, enjoying the sightings as we are. Oh, he's beautiful. Isn't he magnificent? Wow. Well, we've got one of my favorite type of questions is always from the conservationists of the future, and this one is from Logan, who is 4 years old. So hi Logan, I'm so happy to have you on the safari with us. Now Logan would like to know, why do the lions sleep so much, and especially when it's hot? Now Logan, it's quite interesting because they're unable to deal with heat. So when you get hot, you sweat and it makes you cool down, but the lions aren't able to, so they only like to move when it's nice and cool. And hopefully they're going to be moving quite soon because the temperature has dropped a lot. But we have something very, very, very exciting. And Logan, I'm sure you and everyone else out there watching Safari Live is going to love this, because we've got the most incredible spotted surprise with Jamie.
Look at the spotted surprise indeed. We've spent the entire afternoon searching for a leopard, and there we go. And wonderfully enough, it's one of the 2 leopards that...
Sorry about that. She's just in a slightly difficult area, everybody. There is a huge blanket of cloud over us, and so that's why I'm afraid that signal has been lost. Jamie will do her best to find some signal and the leopard in the same place at the same time. Looked to me like she's got Shongile, Karula's youngster, who we looked at a little bit earlier, and she, of course, was pulling that lizard out of the water. She's since killed 2 more duiker, so she's fine, she's doing okay, and I'm just watching Jamie's feed, and as soon as it stabilizes, we will go back to that fantastic leopard. In the meantime, the rain has started to fall again over here in South Africa. There has been some rain in the Mara as well, and with rain, of course, even when we're going into the early stages of winter, we have this coming out. Look. I wonder if you have any idea what it is. It's breathing. You see it breathing? And it is going into a state of what we call estivation. And that is the sort of state that animals in warm climates that get dry in the wintertime go into. And it's very much like hibernation, except it's much more temporary. So if things warm up and get wet, well, then these creatures will move around. Now, if you come back to me, I'll show you exactly what it is. It is a very beautiful little frog called a foam nest frog. And there it sits in its little container. And they will sit like this for weeks at a time. Isn't that fantastic? Gorgeous, just breathing away, enjoying the rain. We're now going to hand you over, not to the leopard just yet, but to Steph, who has got a worm that is doing what he would like to be doing, and that is sheltering.
I'm sure James would like to be curled up in his sleeping bag. That tent of his can get quite chilly. And what you're having a look at over here is exactly what he was talking about. That is the sleeping bag of the bagworm. And the female, this is the female one, the male, he comes out of his bag when he's looking for females, dragging it around behind him. This particular female would be living here, and she'd live here her whole life. What they do when they're born, just soon after they're born, they collect whatever material is closest to them, and they build their bag out of it with very fine silk. So that is a home, waterproof because all the sticks are pointing down, and the entrance is at the bottom over there of the bagworm caterpillar. Now, don't forget that throughout the show you can ask us questions. We are live and we are interactive, so you can use the hashtag Safari Live to ask myself and all my friends some questions during the show. In the meantime, we are going to send you over to Jamie with that leopard.
Now is definitely time to send through all of your questions. We've only got about 10 minutes left with you, so send them through on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. We've got this gorgeous young male leopard, and now it's time to tell you a little bit about him. He's just taking a quick break, sheltering from the drizzle that started. But this is a very, very special young man indeed. His name is Hosana, the little prince or the little chief. And he is the son of Karula, the queen of Djuma, who has been absent for the last 2 months. We don't know why, we don't know where she's vanished to, but she's left 15-month-old Hosana and his sister Shongile, the beautiful one, to fend for themselves. And during our 8-week TV series in January and February, these two gorgeous cubs were the stars of the live safari series. They were playful, they were living the high life, so to speak. Just a quick reminder, you might see the odd pole in our shot. That's because we have a roof, because it's pouring with rain. It's just one of those things. We can't control the weather because this is completely 100% live. Here he comes. He's going to come right next to us. He's going to start stalking right next to us. Look at this. Oh, this is the wonderful thing about these leopard cubs. We have been with them since they were so young that they're completely relaxed in our company. Here he goes. Oh, he's coming up into the tree. Look, he's going to come right next to us. There he is. Now, you'll notice that I'm keeping my voice down, and that's because as comfortable as he is with us, it's only respectful since it is his home. And look at the alert body posture that he has, looking around, casting about, searching for his next meal, and climbing up into a tree is a great way to get a good view. Here he comes. Look at this, he's walking right fast. He's walking so close to us that we can't even see him. Look here, he's going to pop out. Oh, you beautiful boy. Hello, little one. Now, Ben, who is one of our younger viewers, Ben, you want to know what is their diet? Well, Ben, their diet is a carnivorous one. In other words, they eat meat. They eat things like antelope. They eat things like scrub hare. Now, because oh, he spotted something. Hold on. I was going to move, but he's seen something. Oh, it was a bird. Oh, Mr. Hosana, you messed that one up a little bit, boy. You went in without any finesse or style. He's still learning. He's only 15 months old. Usually leopards only leave their mothers around about 2 years old. So this is really him. Hosana and his sister have really had to grow up very, very quickly. Okay, he's going behind our vehicle now. We're going to do some shuffling around so that we can get him back on your screens once again. Finally, the search for the leopard paid off. Now, as I get you another beautiful view, let's go across to an antelope that we don't get here.
Now, we were sitting here waiting for the lions to get moving, and suddenly we just heard this crash. And those two topi bulls were fighting. Now, they're having a bit of a standoff at the moment, and there's a massive competition amongst the topi for the ladies here. But, of course, from a lion's point of view, if the topis are distracted by fighting, there's a good chance they might catch them, because topi is actually one of the fastest antelopes in the world, running at 80 kilometers an hour. Oh, we've had a bit of a rollover. It's now the gentleman's turn to lie in a slightly undignified fashion. Now, we are 100% live from the middle of one of the most remote African wilderness areas. And sometimes the lions like to sleep, and they do sleep for 20 hours out of 24, and hopefully they will get moving shortly as the temperature drops. And as you can see from, oh, here we go. What's he going to do? Oh, roll over. Head half up, half over. Oh, well, I thought he might sit up for a second there, but no such luck. Well, aren't we absolutely incredibly lucky, because we can go from a sleepy lion to a very active leopard.
We are so lucky, and that is the joy. Isn't it amazing that you can go all the way from Kenya to here in South Africa, look at a lion 1 minute and a leopard the next, just the tip of his little white tail disappearing over the top of the hill. One thing Hosana and his sister Shongile have become so good at is hunting aquatic creatures like terrapin. It's something that they're very, very skilled at. All young leopards do it because it's great practice. Now we're right on the edge here, but I'm going to try and get above him so that you can see, you can look down at him. There he goes, leaping from puddle to puddle, searching for an unsuspecting terrapin. Oh, there's a little three-banded plover that you might have spotted moving. Beep! Flew away. Now, Shelley, you want to know what makes him a prince. His lineage, Shelley. That's the amazing thing about the royal family. So his mother's name is Karula. Now, we've already spoken about the fact that she's been absent, but Karula, because she is a leopard that's been followed her entire life, became known as the Queen of Djuma, which is the area that we're in at the moment. She was the queen because she was the dominant female leopard, and at one point, sorry about the poll, everyone, it's raining, it's a roof. At one point, Karula controlled one of the biggest female leopard territories in this particular area. So she became known as the Queen of Djuma, and of course, by natural extension, her offspring became the prince and princess. But that's just the name that we give them, and that's because we care so deeply about them. It's not an official title. They certainly don't see themselves as royalty. But because we have become so attached to them, and I mean, I've seen Hosana since, I've watched him grow up since he was 2 months old. And especially going through this change in his life, this phase of his life without his mum, it's been a very heart-wrenching and yet affirming experience just to see how well he has survived. And he's killed a young male impala. We've seen him with a young male impala kill, so he's doing just fine. Oh, there goes Hosana. He's just going to disappear off. This might, in fact, be the last view that we have of him. I will try and keep up with him. We'll go from, for now, a leopard on the move to lions lying down.
Well, lions not on the move, unlike the wonderful royal family cub, and as you can see, the only thing moving is the inbuilt fly swatter, and there are so many flies on them if we have a quick look, and most of those are what we call little stable flies, so they're actually quite, ooh, there's a little stretch. They're actually quite nasty. They're little vampires. They're biting her, and they'll be feeding on her blood, and when an animal has an open wound, they can be even more irritating, but she does use her tail as a fly swat, and you'll see her ears are constantly flicking to keep those flies from biting the soft part behind her ears. Now, of course, being live, we never know what's going to happen, and of course, because it's a Mother's Day spectacular. Oh, there was a tooth. The lions might be sleeping now, but tomorrow, oh, hello, gorgeous. Oh, here comes a yawn. Oh, look at those teeth. Now, you definitely don't want to be wandering around in this guy. Oh, he's up. They could mate. Okay, there we go. They're going to mate. Listen to this. Oh, isn't that absolutely incredible? How's that sound? And you can see the aggression that happens during mating. Now, and then roll over, lie over, and hopefully again in another 15 or so minutes. They could very well be mating tomorrow. See how she immediately rolls onto her back? It's to try and ensure that she gets impregnated. And the reason the male bites so viciously on the back of her neck is to ensure she doesn't swat him. He's got a barbed penis. And there's two reasons for that. One is to try and make sure that he gets her pregnant. And the second is to remove any of his rival male's sperm. And there has been that young male mating with her yesterday. So he wants to get any of that left. But we're going to say toodaloo and goodbye from the Masai Mara. But remember, we will see you tomorrow for the next of our Mother's Day spectaculars. Let's go back to James in his tent.
Right, quickly before we close, everybody, what a spectacular time we've had. 2 cats and elephants, well, lots of little things in here, and obviously we thought this morning when it started raining we'd have nothing. Now, quickly, we have our answers to 2 truths and 1 lie. Unfortunately, I lost this game. I've never won it. 63% of you got the answer correct. You said that the African jacana is not, in fact, capable of raising 3 clutches of eggs at a time. I thought something that cryptic might trick you. She does lay more than 3 clutches of eggs at a time, but she's very clever because she doesn't have to carry babies to term. What she does, of course, is then hand them out to males to look after. So the males look after them. She's, in fact, a dreadful mother. We are going to see you tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow is Mother's Day, and what we'd like you to do is please send through some tweets right now. You can send through shout-outs to your mothers, and we'd very much like to know what you think of them, and if you can sort of feature some sort of natural theme, that would be great. So, hashtag Safari Live, send through a shout-out to your mother, and we will talk about those tomorrow. For now, thank you very much for coming on this drive with us. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you. We'll see you tomorrow.